Welcome to another episode of Treknicity, a Star Trek podcast. Join us while we open up the nacelles and recharge the warp engines as we power our way out of this nebula. I'm Lars.
And I'm Patrick, and I'm glad I don't read what you're going to say beforehand because I'd really make fun of you even more.
Yeah,
I would. The time.
In this episode, we're reviewing episode 4 of season 3 of Star Trek Picard, entitled No-Win Scenario. And boy, is it good.
It's a little slower, but it's a little slower than what we've seen, but it does something that the Kurtzman era Trek tends not to do as much, and that's go into character. So let's get into it, because I assume if you're watching this, you've probably already seen the show. If not, spoiler alert, turn us off, watch the show, come right back, because you know you want to watch us. You want to watch us so hard. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, we'll stop now. So the episode starts with, we get our flashback of the week, which is 5 years ago. Picard sitting in 10 forward because apparently they really paid a lot for that set.
Well, yeah.
So he's sitting getting lunch, and a bunch of cadets start coming up wanting question about all kinds of cool things. In this case, getting hunted by some Hirogen. And Picard tells the story, and everybody's like, and it's like, what's the point? This has got to have a point, and boy, when it hits the end, it has a point. So we cut back to the present day. Picard's standing alone, looking all sad. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Riker's trying to see what's up, and there's pretty much no power. They're just trying to keep the shields up and life support up until they fall into the core of this thing and die. Yeah, because, something about them torpedoing their own ass. So, it's kind of bad, and, And they keep getting, and another one of these bioflashes triggers is like, oh no, that's weird. So they start lowering the shields in between impacts, because otherwise they're going to run out of power too fast.
Yep. So, where we pick up, I guess it's kind of the, you're sitting there thinking, oh, you larkin ass, you killed us. And the name of the episode is No-Win Scenario. So
they're going to figure it out.
Of course they are.
Because it's only episode 4. It was the last episode they could die.
All of them.
All of them. But no. So then we get our first really good scene. Riker goes to Picard, tells him the Titan's dead, and then he apologizes because he said Picard was right. And he reveals basically the reason he basically was running away from his family because he wasn't feeling anything. And he just wanted to get away because, he kind of had hit that dead spot in his life because dead son, all sad and shit.
Yeah, I'm actually going to call bullshit on that one a little bit, but I won't go too deep on as to why. I'm just going to say primarily the whole thing is that Thaddeus died some time ago, so now suddenly he's without emotion.
Yeah. Here's the thing. It was theorized that Think Trek Culture dropped this one, that it was after season 1's episode where they get to see a synth alive and well that could have that in that positronic brain could have carried the cure. That was the breaking point. But either way, it pays off why Riker was so ridiculously harsh at the end of the last episode, is that he had this shit going in his head, and it peaked when he got his ass kicked. Because he was kind of not wanting to fight, and Picard finally pushed him to fight, and his ship got killed. Basically. Yeah. And of course they say, from the trailer, this is the end, my friend.
This is the end.
Beautiful friend. Let me sing. Please let me sing. Don't start singing. Anyway, go ahead.
Suck my asshole, Taco Bender.
Okay, so we cut to 7, phaser in hand, looking at the quarters of Ensign Foster, who was revealed as a changeling. She opens the closet, finds the dead body of the actual Foster. reports to Riker that the changeling had killed Foster several days before the whole ambush on Jack. Riker orders her to keep it quiet because there's a saboteur. There's a saboteur on board. The crew's morale is complete shit. But if she stays low profile, she could probably get him. Meanwhile, in sickbay, Beverly's counting down as one of those bioflashes go. So she's got something going on because we know that it's bioelectric energy, and it keeps flashing every so often. So Picard walks in and says, "Hey, I want to have a moment or two with Jack." And, of course, this makes Beverly happy.
Yep.
Any thoughts?
Well, okay. So this is kind of going a little formulaic, but it's not a bad thing. Okay. We know the heroes are going to survive, at least in this episode. But the important thing is that what is evident throughout this entire episode, aside from the odd kind of silly thing, like, shutting down all non-essential services, yet somehow the holodeck stays powered on.
Yeah, they did cover that. They did cover that it has an independent power source, which is like, okay, whatever. I drain that into the ship personally, but that's just me.
Yeah, whatever.
But it was a setup for a couple really good scenes.
And the thing is, I think the reason why they keep reusing that 10 forward bar set is because
they paid for it. They might as well use it.
Yeah, I think they're really trying to just squeeze every dime they can out of that one. And of course, look, let's face it. From season 2 onwards, 10 forward on the Enterprise was used quite heavily. So I think they're kind of, again, they're going through a lot of tropes in this third season of Picard. So it doesn't completely surprise me that they are using 10 forward extensively. But again, we know the heroes are going to make it through to the end of this episode. But what is good is that they leave it just ambiguous enough to make you wonder how they're going to deal with this, like what's going to happen with this changeling, how they're going to deal with that.
That pays off.
Yeah, is there going to be any kind of redemption for the characters? It started to really dig deep on classic TNG tropes, and in this case, it was really good.
Although to not go with the tropes, we go to Captain Asshole. I mean Shaw. He's sitting in his quarters, sharpening a knife and resting because his leg's still injured. Because now we got injuries, not woo, you're fixed. Probably a little more realistic, but well. And he of course keeps saying go. He keeps telling him to go away, but it turns out to be 7. He, of course, is being an asshole the entire way. She points out that there's a changing on board, and that it's been on board since before they started dealing with the Crushers. And, of course, there's a personnel problem, and nobody knows the ship better than Shaw. So he invites her in. Cut to the conference room, where Riker's trying to record a message for Troy and failing because if the Titans ever recovered, probably not. Meanwhile, we get to the scene where Jean-Luc takes Jack to the holodeck to use the set. Of course, he pulls out some Chateau Picard, and Jack shits on it because everybody's shitting on Chateau Picard. We find out why the two characters in this season that have shat on Chateau Picard have shat on Chateau Picard. We're gonna find out pretty shortly here. So they kind of get talking about. Jack begins by asking about the hair, and Picard says, "Enjoy it while you can." They talk back and forth about some things. And Jack relates a story about dealing with an Antorian with a broken antenna. It's kind of just getting into it. We're not to the meat of the matter. Because we cut back to Shaw and 7. They're talking about why the changeling infiltrated the ship as a transporter operator. And, of course, they try to figure out what to do. And Shaw just goes things like walking, talking, clay dough. He just was... he was just chewing. He was chewing the scenery, and this was glorious.
Oh yeah.
But basically, and he points out and marks that he both got off on the wrong foot and had underestimated 7, believing she would be a great captain someday. Before qualifying, that this would be something today if he were a changeling and not just a dick. He does point out about something about it possibly being in having some kind of pot or jar that the changeling's sleeping in. You know, one that looks exactly like Odo's, even though there's a backstory why Odo had the one he did, and most changelings from the Link didn't use it. But oh well, this was pointed out. So, but she figures out she needs to go find some residue, scan the ship, and find the changeling so she can shoot it till it dies. 7 goes, of course, and finds the jug, and then she takes it and takes off for the scanners.
I when I saw that, I wonder if when they called cut, if she like turned it upside down and started, like tapping on the bottom like a drum. Hey, little Kali man, Kali me.
Oh, please stop.
No.
Okay.
Never stop.
So we cut to our only real scene on the Shrike with Vatic. She gets over. She cuts off her left hand with a knife and reveals she's a changeling. It turns into a weird face, tells her, you got to go chase after him. And it's like, it'll be suicide. Do it anyway.
It'll be suicide if you don't go it.
Because Jack's apparently an asset. And pretty much they drop the portal gun and head into the nebula. And that's pretty much almost all the stuff that's almost all the real characterization we're going to get, except oh shit later. So, yeah, unfortunately Vatic gets seriously underused in this episode. Still gets more screen time than Raffi and Worf.
Which is nice.
We're not just leaving him out. They're not in it. So there you go. Now watch this. The next episode will be all Raffi and Vatic. No, all Raffi and Worf. Which won't be too terrible, but oh well. But what are they going to do? Kill shit for an entire hour?
Yep.
Fair enough. Okay, so we go back to 10. So we cut back to the. Let's see here. Okay, so we do another cut back 5 years. Picard's relating the his encounter with the children of Tama from the episode Darmok, of course.
Yep, the Temerians.
Yep, because Temerians are awesome. So one cadet asks about an incident with his friend Jack Crusher, and of course we get that referring to it as a. Supposed to say the title of the episode.
Oh, no-win scenario.
Okay, there we go. Of course, we cut back to the present, and Picard is telling Jack a story about his. Let's see here. I lost my place here. Some other officers come in, Picard has him come in and sit down and chill out because obviously this is a place to just relax, and because everybody's kind of scared. So we get an audience in addition to Jack and Picard talking about things. So 7 is going to the biochemistry lab to get the substance scan, and of course that's when the That's, of course, when the changing shows up, kills somebody, vaporizes the pot. Seven blasts him a few times, and then
it goes
into the
gooey
vents
and disappears. I have to say again, the graphics level, the CG level from what they looked like in DS9 to what they look like in this series.
It's fucking Play-Doh.
Oh my god.
So yeah. But of course she calls in the dead ensign, and in sickbay, Beverly's standing there and it's like, oh, it's gonna get worse as another pulse hits a little bit sooner than she gets to 0, but after about the time she gets to 1. So back in 10 Forward, Jack asks Picard about the worst jam other than their current predicament, and basically tells a story about his friend and Jack's namesake, the OG Jack Crusher, and how they basically grabbed they'd been out on leave, grabbed a shuttle, tried to borrow a shuttle to go get laid, basically. On the way back, they got hit. They got hit, and they were limping for 10 hours and with no real power, and it was kind of bad. But then, the best of the best, Shaw walks in with a cane, and talking about the amount of pain meds he's on. And then he points out Jack asks if Picard's ever told about the first time they met when he was aboard the USS Constant on Stardate 44002.3, which is the date of the Battle of Wolf 359. So apparently his story is that 50 of the crew made it down to the life deck, but there's only one escape pod with 10 seats. They just all kind of stood there. 11 10 came down, picked 10 of them, including some dipshit from Chicago, which is Shaw. And they get in and they escape, and everybody else dies.
So now we know why he has beef with Picard, because at the time Picard, as we know, was currently Locutus, and he was commanding the Borg cube on its way to Earth. And the thing is, and it's of course it's destroying the fleet, and of course Shaw's ship is one of them. But the thing is, I mean, the line where he basically says he was the most dangerous Borg, he was basically so dangerous he was the only one that gave a name.
The quote is, the only Borg so deadly, they gave him a goddamn name. Jack tries to step in, but Picard stops him and says,
I get it.
Yeah.
I'm good. I understand.
Says, yeah, it's all right. He understood, and leaves. And Shaw looks around and apologizes, saying that at some point, asshole became a substitute for charm, which is pretty much Shaw in a nutshell. So,
but the thing is again, this is what I started talking about last episode, is that there was something about him that was starting to feel more relatable, and I was starting to like the character. In this episode, I started to like him even more because he is really, really redeeming himself from the asshole we saw in episode 1, which of course now we completely understand why he feels the way he feels about both Picard and, as you said, S7.
Yeah, we're not going to completely forgive him for dead naming 7 regularly and being shitty to Picard at the outset. But we understand. I mean, in this situation, we were allowed to explore the space a lot more than, say, in DS9 Season 1 episode Emissary, where basically Ben Sisko, who suffered a similar fate, had to watch his ship and his wife explode at the hands of Locutus of Borg, and then had to sit before Picard and talk to him in the beginning.
Yep.
And he had to work through that. But this time, it's for somebody who's grown a lot more bitter and a lot more cynical and a lot more bastardy.
But again, and here's the thing about what we class New Trek. The shortfalls of seasons 1 and 2 of Picard basically left a very bitter taste in your mouth, because it felt like it was a forced story to basically shoehorn Sir Patrick Stewart into another story for Picard to play in just for nostalgia's sake. This, while it is specifically designed to be nostalgic, it still allows for the the auxiliary characters to be developed and show that they are indeed real humans. And yeah, I mean, again, you see that Shaw is flawed. He's human. He has feelings. He has emotions. He has reasons to feel the way he does. Yet he's still
To be an asshole.
yeah. He still admits where he still admits his faults. And as we'll see at the end, he makes further strides to bridging that gap.
Okay, so I did miss one point there somewhere. There was at some point Picard did ask. I don't know if it was. I think it was somewhere in there, but I might have missed it. Picard does ask Jack why he never tried to make contact with him, and Jack dodges that answer.
Although we do find out later on why.
Yeah, we will find that out in the end because that's awesome. So Jack catches up to Picard in the corridor, and Picard starts talking to him. But that's when Beverly walks up and says, "Hey, these are contractions. All these pulses. This whole nebula is actually about to give birth to something, and the final wave is probably going to kill us." And then, of course, Jack realizes, hey, big wave? Could we ride that out and not die?
I gotta say this. I think I finally figured out why they really did keep Data dead and not introduce him as the reconstructed B4 like in the comic books, because Data would have figured this out in episode 1.
Yeah, it does help keeping Data shelved.
Right.
So the three of them take the information to Riker, who of course is hesitant and doesn't want to do it, but eventually point out if we do this, we got a chance. If not, we're dead. And they argue, and eventually Riker finally gives in and says we need to open we need to get the nacelles open so that we can absorb energy and maybe restart the warp core out of it. So that settles up for the big showdown. So Riker addresses the crew, saying it's going to be a hell of a risk, and if anything goes wrong, they'll know real quickly. So it basically gives them the standard, we're stronger together, and they'll get through, and the usual Starfleet shit. Picard and Seven show up to Shaw's, and Picard says, despite the fact that Shaw's a dipshit from Chicago, they need his help.
They need a grease monkey.
Yeah, basically. So Shaw and Seven go down to pop open the shielding on the warp nacelles. Beverly's counting the periods and saying, "Oh, we got to get on this pretty quickly." Shaw and Seven get to work, and Shaw reminds him that if the changing really wants to sabotage him, there's the place to do it. So they report it to Riker and says they don't need any help any help doing this. So they keep diverting more power because there's almost nothing left. There's only a few minutes of life support left. Basically, they find out we got 2 minutes. So then Riker turns the ship over to Picard because he's the only person that has experience flying by. So we of course get giving LaForge orders. Sidney LaForge, and I'll remind you because we haven't gotten there yet, but she is the daughter of Geordi LaForge. Thankfully, they're paying this stupid shit off in this episode.
Yeah.
But after he gives the order, he says, engage. And it is an awesome moment because finally Picard's doing Picard shit in Picard position. Okay, so the crew's diverting power desperately. Riker asks if they can manage to get the Shaw gets one of the port in the cell open. Riker asks if they can manage alone. He's sure, and Shaw says they can. And then in walks Sidney LaForge, who of course reminds Shaw that she is the daughter of Geordi LaForge,
greatest engineer in Starfleet history.
Of course, yes. Of course, Seven puts a phaser on LaForge and says, she says, Riker told me to help. And Seven says, she told Riker not to send anyone. And then she refers to her as Commander Hansen, which immediately Seven phaser and says that LaForge only called her Commander Seven out of respect, looking at Shaw.
And
he says, "Good call."
Yeah, good call. To Shaw's
and
credit,
gets back to work because of course, the real daughter of Geordi LaForge.
What's her name again?
That one home.
Is it Sierra LaForge? Is it Cindy LaForge?
Doesn't really matter. She's the daughter of Geordi LaForge. I am glad they paid it off here, though. That they do it the most egregiously here. Because of course the changeling is trying to pull this and just is particularly obvious with it. Because as soon as I saw her walk in, it's like, oh boy, that's the changeling. Like everybody knew she was still on the bridge because we cut to the bridge and that's where she is. They get the second one open and they can't see anything, so Jack goes out. Jumps up to call out contacts while Picard is ordering thrusters. They go flying through. They get the thrusters up to 98%, pulling every bit of power. Life support dies, and then the wave comes. It hits them, and they start riding the wave, which is pretty cool. Yeah. Of course, the Shrike shows up in front of them, and Vadic's looking kind of excited. Riker asks if the tractor beam's operating, has him lock onto a asteroid, and flings the asteroid straight into the Shrike, knocking it ass over apple cart.
Yeah,
and
beautiful.
then of course, and they get Shaw and Seven show up on the bridge, and the nebula explodes into a bunch of jellyfish-like creatures. And then of course Beverly says to seek out new life.
The thing is,
and then they go to warp.
When you saw the little squid things, did you not think that it was sort of kind of a little nod back to the space creatures from Farpoint, Encounter of Farpoint?
Yeah, considering they mentioned them earlier.
Yep.
But yeah, that was the big payoff of the episode, is that this nebula turns into space creatures. It was the most Star Trek-y moment of this series at this point.
It was just amazing.
They watch a nebula that's trying to kill them in the middle of a submarine hunt, a la Star Trek II, Best of Both Worlds. I forget the name of the episode from Strange New Worlds where they're running from the Gorn. Pretty much any nebula chase, any nebula battle you get.
Right.
And it turns into space jellyfish. That's some serious Trek.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm serious. I time traveled back to my my childhood and was sitting there like my mouth was gaped open. I'm clapping. And I'm just like, this is so freaking cool. Like this.
Because you're a fucking moron, but
hey, I am.
That's beside the point. It was still really cool. So they warp off, and yay! And even Shaw's not an asshole for once. Probably because he's not dead.
Yep.
So we get our last cut back 5 years to 10 forward as Picard's wrapping up the story and points out that that a captain's only as good as the crew around them, and crew becomes a part of them. They lift you up to accomplish the things you could never do alone. And then somebody new speaks at the bar, and it's Jack.
Yep.
A slightly younger, obviously. He mentions how Picard went about his crew and life of Starfleet, but what about outside of Starfleet? Was there an actual family? And Picard, not knowing who he's talking to, says simply he considers Starfleet to be all the family he ever needed. And at that point, Jack disappears.
He
So
helps out. Yep.
now we know why Jack shat on the Chateau Picard. Because, holy shit, Picard basically told him, fuck off, all I need is the fleet, bitch.
Yep. Bye. Peace out. Yeah, I mean, overall, a great episode. I mean, the last thing we see is Riker, and initially you think he's recording a message for Deanna, but then it cuts to over his shoulder, and he's looking at the screen, and of course there he is talking to Deanna properly. And I was excited. I was like, "Oh man, that is just great." I was wondering if we were going to see her this properly this season, and here we are. He's having a conversation with her, and it's a very, very heartfelt conversation where he addresses his shortcomings, his mistakes, and he is reconciling with his Imzadi.
So that storyline's resolved. Yay! So of course we're leaving with another log entry that they've escaped hands. They don't know who's Vadic and why does she want Jack. So our last scene is Jack throwing some water on his face as he sees red spreading growth, something whispering phrases like "find me" and "together soon," and he sees that door opening and his head pounding. And what's the mystery? It's a mystery box.
Mm-hmm.
That's another damn mystery box.
But it's a slow burn mystery, and for once, I'm not upset with the season long story arc. I'm buying into this one this time.
Because we just got our first. Because we just got the first part of the arc was the Titans going to the rescuing Crusher and get the Crushers and getting caught in the nebula. Yeah. That partial arc is done. Now we go on to what's going to happen after this.
Yep, the meat and potatoes of what's going on with the changelings, what's happening with Rafi and Worf. When are we going to see Lore? When are we going to see Geordi? I mean, we still have those to come back. Is there good? I mean, I'm just going to put it out there. Are we going to see? Because this is the last time we're probably going to see this crew together ever again on screen. Do you think we'll see Wesley? I mean, I know he showed up as an Easter egg at the end of season 2, which was pretty cool. I mean, the way he used him was good, but I'm hoping there's some kind of reconciliation and reunion at the very end of this, so that we can kind of, put a pin in everything and go on and have that good feeling left over.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, even with all the bad stuff that happened, we got tons of character story resolutions, and yeah, there's so much resolved within 4 episodes. It feels like we finished a story arc.
Yeah,
and we're not having to wait 10 episodes to try to finish the story arc. We know there's still mysteries and more stuff to go.
But
we're
not waiting.
Our appetite's whetted, but we just got major payoff in episode 4.
Yeah, so we're not waiting another 6 episodes to get all of them shoved in at once.
So yeah, this is definitely my favorites because it was a semi-conclusion to the story.
So I guess I'm going to be excited to see what happens next week.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think... Yeah, I really, really excited for the next 6 episodes. I kind of wish there were more, as long as they keep this quality. And I wish they I kind of wish we had another Trek show coming up that I could watch.
Yeah, because I don't think we have Strange New Worlds until mid to late this year. So we'll have a bit of a break. Although I'm sure we'll get another Lower Decks here before too long.
Yep. I was firing up the episode Picard and a Strange New World thing comes on. It's like, are we going to get announcements for when a promo for the new season? Nope. It's, hey, all the episodes are streaming now on the service that you've already streamed them on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of got excited too, and I was like, oh, it's just an ad.
And it's not the good kind of ad.
No. But anyways, that's all the time we have for this episode of Treknicity. be sure to look us up. You see all this stuff down here. I'm pointing down here. That's where you find us on social media at Treknicity and Red Shirt Geeks. Be sure to go to redshirtgeeks.tv and check out all of the other content that we have created over the last 9 years, and
the content that's coming, which is the Odd Trek, because we got a script, so we can start filming and recording and all the good stuff.
Yep. So keep an eye out. Watch this space. And again, thank you for watching Treknicity. I'm Lars.
I'm Patrick,
and we will see you next time. And we remember to rock out with your Spock out. Peace.